In this clip, we're going to be looking at a really difficult topic. This is as close to A-level maths as you can get within the GCSE curriculum. We want to solve these two simultaneous equations. You can see that one of them is a quadratic, and that's what makes this so difficult. Solving means that I want to find values for x and y, and I do this by combining my two equations into one single equation with only one unknown. So we can see that this linear equation here tells me what y is. Y is 3x plus 1. So what I'm going to do is substitute this as y in here. So I've got 3x plus 1, and you can see that here y is squared, so I need to square it. And that's equal to this, 4x squared minus x plus 7. I've now made one single equation, and I've only got one unknown, which is x, in it. What I'm going to do now is solve this equation. To do that, I need to start by multiplying out this bracket. So I get 9x squared plus 6x plus 1, and that's still equal to this. Some people get caught out by the expansion of this bracket here. It should look like this. And you can always do it as a piece of side working on your paper if you want to be absolutely sure you're getting everything correct. Now from this stage, I need to create a quadratic that's equal to 0, because then I can solve it. So I'm going to rearrange this. So I get 5x squared by taking the 4x squared away from both sides, plus 7x by adding x to both sides, minus 6 by subtracting 7 from both sides, and that's now equal to 0. Now, in the question, I've not been asked to give my answer to any particular number of decimal places or significant figures. So that means I can assume that now I can factorise this. So that's what I'm going to do next. I factorise in my usual way, and I get this answer here. From this, I can now find two values for x. So these are my two values for x. Now we mustn't stop here. We've got values for x, but we also need to get values for y, and we do this using the linear equation here. So the linear equation tells us that y is equal to 3x plus 1. I can now get my first value of y by substituting in the first value of x, which is 3/5, to here. So I have y equals 3 times x, which was 3/5, plus 1. So this gives me that y equals 9/5 from this bit here, plus 1. Now I know that 1 is 5/5, so I've got 9/5 plus 5/5, and that makes y 14/5. So this is my first value of y, and that's associated with this value of x. So I now know that when x equals 3/5, y equals 14/5. Now I move on to x equals minus 2, and I substitute that into this equation. So I've got y equals 3 times minus 2 plus 1. So y equals minus 6 plus 1, so that makes y minus 5, and that's associated with this value of x. So I have y equals minus 5. This is my other pair of values. So in summary, I was asked to solve these simultaneous equations, and I got two pairs of answers. Just out of interest, if we were to draw the graphs of y equals 3x plus 1 and y squared equals 4x squared minus x plus 7, it would look like this. This is our linear graph, this one, and these represent this. What we found is the coordinates of this point here where the graphs cross, and the coordinates of this point here where the graphs cross. So solving the simultaneous equations finds the points of intersection of the two graphs. Here's a question for you to try now. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready for the answers, press play. Here are the answers. Here's another question for you to try. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready for the answers, press play. Here are the answers. I hope when you got to this stage here, you realised that this was a simple factorisation and that you could take out a factor of 5x, leaving this bracket. You can then get one x value from the bracket, and this tells you that the other x value is 0. Here's another question for you to try. In this one, part A just involves doing what we've been doing all the way through this clip. The answer to part A will help you answer part B. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play. Here are the answers. You should have found that there's only one value of x and one corresponding value of y, so the two graphs only meet at one point. This tells you that the line is a tangent to the curve, and this is the answer for part B. Now this question looks slightly different to the ones we've seen before, and the reason it looks different is because we're asked to give our answers to 2 decimal places. This alerts me to the fact that when I get my quadratic equation equal to 0, I won't be able to factorise it, and instead I'll need to use the quadratic equation formula to find the solutions. So I start this in the usual way by replacing the y here with x plus 5. I now want to rearrange this to get a quadratic that's equal to 0. Now you might notice at this stage that because all of these numbers here are multiples of 2, I could divide everything by 2 to make the numbers simpler. This is only really a value though if we're going to factorise this, and we know we're not doing that because we're asked to give our answers to 2 decimal places, meaning that we need to use the quadratic equation formula. So I'm just going to leave it as it is and use the formula. Solving this using the formula gives me these 2 values for x here. Once I've got these, I need to find the 2 corresponding values of y, and I do that using this equation. I substitute in the first value of x here to get the first value of y, and the second value of x to get the second value of y. These are then my 2 pairs of answers. Here's one of those for you to try. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready for the answers, press play. Here are the answers.